Hey guys, this is DFD, aka Dark Frozen Depths, back with another Kamihime project video. Now, before I get started, a few things I gotta mention. First off, I am using a headset with a microphone, so if it sounds a little bit different, that's one reason why. The other is the fact that it is still pretty much midsummer, so of course, I had the fans on in my room. But, anyways, the second thing, which is partially important, there is a limited character for when this event starts. It is a pretty strong win one. I will go over it after I go through the event discussion. And then on top of that too, you do want to have your win characters built up as much as possible because there is a Tower of Malice that should be happening pretty soon. It is either within a week or within 2 weeks. It depends on if we finally get the crossover event that should have repeated, because for some reason they're having issues with getting contracting for an event they already had. I don't know why, I don't know what details go on with that one, but anyways, that's still up in the air, so there's that. Also, one final thing I do need to mention is the fact that this is the second time these characters have appeared. So for those of you that weren't around for the first one, it will still become an epic quest. I think this one does too later down the line. I just don't know when the epic quests are going to pop out. But anyways, getting into the event itself. Like I said, second time Vlad's appeared, only her original version was better in my opinion, because regardless of element, it gave a boost, and then it also gave more drop rate. This one just gives a boost towards thunder and still gives the same drop rate increase. So there's that. But anyways, like I said, she's thunder, so this is a thunder based event. There is a bit of a few catches in there though, so we'll go over that. Starting off, this is a raid event, so of course do standard for expert materials, do expert for Ragnarok materials. You can get help with any of the raids, you can call people in, you can jump into others. Same standard stuff, it's just that this layout will eventually change whenever we get more difficulties added. But that's still way later down the line, anywhere between 8 months to a year. What I do forget to mention is that you do need rank 16 in order to open up everything, but to be quite honest, I don't think you're able to solo expert by the time you hit rank 16, unless you've been really getting some insanely strong stuff. And even then, it's kind of wondering if you got enough health to even last. So rank requirements honestly don't really matter because they're so pathetically low that you should be under level by the time you even get access. But going through, there's a free Sr Kamihime Phosphorina or Phosphorpina. I don't know how to pronounce her name. But so naturally, if you do a slight bit of the event, you should be able to get her. And I really do mean slight. It's not much in order to do that. Speaking of which, standard is based on fighting her. It is water that you're going up against, not thunder. So thunder actually has the advantage for standard. It's weird, but that's how they did things. And there's a lot of stuff she does too. So first and foremost, her normal burst is a large water damage attack and water resistance debuff to one person. So she'll start hitting harder if you leave the debuffs up. And then on top of that too, her raging will it'll water damage one person, put a resistance down to everybody, and then it ups her combo rate, basically. So you gotta keep that in mind. Now, she does have some weird little mechanic where the first time she increases her maximum charge turn count. And that said, you will have to worry about having maybe some charge turn increases, or I call them orb eaters, but they're really they're like turn delays, if you want to be honest. You're going to want that until she starts using your special move a few times, because she will only do it once, and then the Raging Burst also adds one as well. So she can indeed give herself more orbs. So that said, you're going to want some turn control to help you out. Otherwise, she will start nuking you pretty often. Speaking of the special nuke, it is going to be water damage to everybody, again reducing their resistance, and on top of that, she puts a self-bind, which is a charge turn up. So keep that in mind. This fight is still standard, so if you're pretty decently leveled, you can blow through it without any problems. Just keep in mind that it is indeed a different element than the main thing. So if you're wondering why you're not doing weakness damage, then it's because you're not using thunder. And fire would actually have a problem on standard if you're not strong enough for it. Which some players actually are, but only if they just started, basically. Now, expert is where things get a little weird and complicated. As you can see, there's 3 enemies. And each of them have varying different charge turn accounts as well. Now, for the first helper, which is Miracia or something, it's hard to pronounce this thing. This one has 3 orbs, and whenever it hits somebody, whenever it does its enemy burst, it's going to hit everybody. So, there's that. The other helper, Dracolia or something, is, again, hard to pronounce, and then Google Translate might be wrong. 1 charge turn count, and it hits a single person every time it does its burst. So it's going to be hitting a lot more often than the others. Both of these helpers have 1,450,000 HP. And as for Vlad herself, she has 4,300,000 HP. And here's where a fight gets really interesting. 2 orb count, and when she does her normal burst, it is 3 random hits. And raging is doubled that, 6 random hits. The very interesting part is that the very first action she does puts Indomitable to herself, and it cannot be removed unless it triggers. That means that you have to reduce her HP all the way down. She will stay at 1 HP and live thanks to Indomitable, but then the Indomitable buff will be gone. It is pretty much, if you've played Kingdom Hearts, a second chance ability. So you will not be able to one-turn her no matter how hard you try, unless you're like nuking so hard that you just wipe out all of her HP, and then you can do normal attacks in order to end the turn. So you have to keep that in mind. You will most likely not one-shot her. 0 turn is impossible. 1 turn still is, though. And on top of that, she also does different things based on who lives and who dies. It says if the first one dies, she'll do lightning damage to 1 person. And if the second one dies, it's another one. But it also says unyielding attack too. So there's a weird translation on this. We're going to go over the details here. So first and foremost, you can think of the helpers like Catastrophe helpers, like in Ragnarok, only just a lot weaker. And then it says the first one is going to attack with Phantom attributes, so you will get hit with a weakness. And then it also puts in Indomitability on herself. If you defeat one, she will make an attack instead of her own burst. And it's still based on which one dies. They don't have full details here for some reason. But if both happen to die, she'll only do one of them. And the one that starts with M is going to be the priority one. So as if you killed the top helper, the one that had 3 orbs. So that said, you can actually avoid one of the triggers if you happen to kill both the helpers at the same time. So keep that in mind. And then it also says if you disturb her behavior with something like paralysis, it will be difficult to release Indomitability and it will take longer to defeat it. So for some weird reason, I guess causing any sort of like turn skips on her, like paralysis or dizzy or any of those effects, will cause her to pretty much do that. And also, I did make a quick little mistake too. She doesn't use that Indomitability until she's had a turn. So honestly, you can still kill her in one shot. You just got to do it before she uses that ability. And it says burst time is a very good time for that one. Now, nothing's really changed with her Ragnarok fight. It's just more HP that everybody has. They've effectively more than doubled the HP of everybody. So it's 3.5 million for the helpers, and Vlad herself is 14 million. So just treat it like expert, only it's going to be a lot harder to take her out in one turn. So keep that in mind. However, if you are strong enough and have elemental advantage, or sometimes you may not even need it, you can actually deal up to about, I'd say 17.6 million damage with a full burst, which is essentially like 2 million soft capital on every character bursting, and then the burst streak added in with it. If you're strong enough, you can do that and pretty much just wipe out the entire fight. So that's a thing too. But for recommended spirits, or recommended souls they say, they don't have anything. My recommendations, however, any of them that can do AoE damage or AoE debuffing or something like that, that can really help you out. And of course, you're probably going to want some protection too, if need be, because that can rack up quite a bit of damage. Especially the one that's constantly nuking you every single turn, more or less. Well, every other turn, because they don't have a raging mode. That said, you're going to want to have probably some protection if you can't really just brute force a fight. So I doubt somebody's going to have Romulus and have trouble with the fight, so I won't mention S rank souls anyways, because if you have any of them, you should easily be able to blow through the fight. But Solomon would be a good one for AoE damage. Mordred has some AoE debuffing, I do believe, to an extent, but it's mainly to help lower the resistance. And then on top of that too, defensive wise, of course, Joan or Andromeda, they're like healer, defense, usual stuff. Since you cannot remove buffs off of the enemies, you will never need anything like chaos magic or something like that, so keep that in mind. Maybe some increased orb counts too could help as well, so keep that as an idea. It's not really necessary, but it can help. But getting to the rewards, if you want all the SSR stuff basically, like the basic event stuff, 50 Divine Souls, which is blue, and 55 Devil Souls, which is red. You want all the gacha tickets, 140 blue, 82 red. You want the Dragonic Eye Shards, 200 blue, 90 red. You want all the jewels, 225 blue, 95 red. And of course, finish the entire list, 250 blue, and 100 red. This will not change for a long time, just like the difficulties. When the difficulty change happens, this will. So keep that in mind. Now, as for what you get from the event, Vlad herself, very good attack power. Her main effect is not that great. It is character attack, but it does increase the drop rate regardless of element. So If you need a drop rate I doing, here's an easy one to get. Also, an interesting thing is that when you summon her, one character will get Indomitable on them, so it can help keep you alive a little bit longer. So it kind of depends on how often she can use it. Now that I'm really looking at it, if she said as a main and you kill random enemies, she could use it more often. But yeah, it's for 3 turns and it's usable every 10. So at most you'll probably get like maybe 2 people with it, depending on what happens. But unless you're extremely lucky with enemies dropping the clocks to speed up the cooldown, then you can probably get 3. But Indomitable, when used, might help you out. So there's that. Now, as for the weapons, large assault thunderbow. Nothing too special or crazy about it, but if you do happen to need some thunder assault, there you go. The SR stuff, I never worry about that at this point. I never would, because of the simple fact that we have so much other stuff, and there's going to be more later down the line that is under SSR. You don't need to go for the SR weapons too much now. Just go into Epic Quest and go get your stuff from there, basically. You shouldn't need to worry about SR weapons, period, point blank. They're kind of like outdated at this point. And of course they got R-Grails. And it's the same usual stuff with the raid events. Their missions are basically clear certain difficulties on your own, no help whatsoever. There's of course the ones you can do every single day, which is like do 3 times starting a raid, do 3 times jumping into somebody else's. You need Arihime for the expert one. This is where rarities come in handy. Because if you use any SR or SSR Kamihime, even if they're in your sub slots, you cannot clear this mission. It all has to be R. The soul can be whoever, but your Kamihime has to be R rarity. As for Ragnarok, you have to use fire element characters. Again, includes sub slots. So all 6 slots have to be fire Kamihime regardless of rarity for the Ragnarok solo. And that's probably where I'm going to have a field day myself, because I have Medea's fire weapon on top of her light weapon. So I should have no problems with these missions. You'll probably see those recorded. But anyways, actually I'm curious if my Thunder R characters can even handle expert. I'll give it a shot. But anyways, that's what I got for that. I'm going to go into the free SR Kamihime, because everybody should be getting her. It only takes like 3 or 5 souls. And this for some reason wants to load up really slow. It's kind of slow loading damage, but that's pretty much how she looks. This is summer base, so it's all like swimsuits galore. But just like her own fight, she will lower water resistance. So this can help people get the defense debuff cap, and even up their rate of debuffing if you happen to need it. But later content, you're probably going to want to stray away from getting a little too debuff happy, because it can really lower your potential. Also, keep in mind that she is still SR. So if you have an SSR that can do better, you're probably better off using them unless a mission is rarity based. As for her other 2 abilities, ups her own water attack and increases her combo rate basically. The first 2 abilities will do damage to 1 enemy, so there's no AoE whatsoever. She's all single target. And then it says overall ability to be used for the first time after the start of the battle. So she can AoE out the gate by the looks of it, but after that it's single target. So if you're going to AoE anything, it's probably the water attack buff. Because unless you're facing a lot of multiple enemies, the resistance wouldn't do too much to AoE it. Or you can AoE the combo rate if you want to. One of the 2 buffs, you want to AoE those. But anyways, there is one more character I need to go over, and this is going to take a quick second to find her because she's in the middle of the list. There's so much stuff for characters. Like, this is still near the top. She's way down the middle. So there's Uriel. There's Win the Tom. We had that one. Here we go. Win Monez. Or Monez. I may have said it wrong. Also, keep in mind that the current Kamihime that was in there, the dark one, she's permanent. But Wind Monez, she's got some very, very interesting stuff here. Now, this is how she looks too. She can really tank a lot of lightning damage. She will hit one enemy and then up her own lightning resistance by 50%, meaning half damage for the lightning right there for 2 turns. On top of this, she can put, from what it's looking like, a 5-turn 20% damage cut and a 2,500 HP wall on everybody for 5 turns. Meaning she herself can reduce the damage she takes by 70% alone, while also reducing what everybody takes by 20%. And that's not including what the wall blocks off. She also can grant a guaranteed combo plus energy drain, which can drain up to 500, which can drain 500 per hit, which is up to 1,500. And since that's for 3 turns, if you're lucky with the triple combo rate, you can indeed get basically 4,500 HP back. Now, the cooldowns are pretty long. It is 5-turn cooldown for her first skill, which isn't too bad, but then it's 12-turn cooldown for the second one and 15 for the third. This is where her Assistability will come in. Now, depending on the number of allies in combat, she will reduce the reuse time of her abilities, meaning their cooldowns will shrink. She is part of an immortal wind. Well, it's not really immortal, but she's part of a very, very strong wind combo. For instance, if you use Wind Azazel, which is because I don't know if there's another version of her, but if you use Azazel Awakening and then use Monez together, but somehow have other characters killed off, then those two will probably be enough to cover for the whole fight, very point blank. And it says if there are 2 teammates that are unable to fight, the reuse interval abilities will be shortened by 2 at the end of each turn. So, needless to say, she's kind of a case where you have to kill off 2 people. So, you have to keep that in mind. But, looking at some of the stuff, it's said that her burst will get boosted based on how many people are dead as well, which can eventually cap both of them from what it's saying, or at least get near it. And then on top of that too, if you have enough of a boost from her assistability, you can have permanent upkeep on her damage cut abilities. And on top of that, you can use her energy drain and guaranteed combo for 60% of the fight. That's all I gotta say for this character. You can already see how strong she can actually be. It's a bit of a waste. Well, I wouldn't say waste. It's a bit of a shame that you do have to kill off some characters in order for her to really get that boost. However, let that happen, she will be insane, because you'll have something with a 4-turn cooldown but a 5-turn effect. You'll have something with a 2-turn cooldown and a 2-turn effect, meaning she's always taking half damage from lightning as long as she doesn't get her bust removed. And then on top of that, well, thunder damage. I did say lightning, but it's the same thing. And then on top of that, she can permanently keep up everybody's damage reduction by 20%, but also keep refreshing a wall for them. And you can use it every 4 turns, so you don't even have to wait for the 5-turn to go out. And then the drain's happening 3 turns for every 5. That's incredible. That's why she's very, very good. I did feel the need to mention her, and she is indeed limited, so be very careful of that one aspect, because you miss out on her, you're not pulling her with magic jewels anymore. So keep that in mind. Also, later on down the line, when they change things, characters that had second versions will like multiple weapons. That's what's saying strong weapon I don't know why I said thunder, but strong weapon, hammer, and axe. So that means she will like both hammers and axes later on down the line. I don't know what she would like out the gate, but the time anybody really worries about it truly is when the Lucent weapons come out, and that's the main reason why they did that change. Any Kamihime that's had a second version will end up getting that. That means if, say, you have normal SSR Amon and then you have Fire Amon. SSR Fire Amon would have multiple things she likes. I don't know about the normal one. And in the case of somebody like, say, Phosphorina, her water one will like multiple weapons, but her original, which is dark, will not. So that's what the whole thing about that is. So I do feel a need to point that out, because it makes some of the combinations a lot stronger, especially going later down the line. I will say this without a doubt. If you are using Fire Glaives, you are set up for some very good stuff, but you will need to get a lot of gotcha things. And as for Light, they like stabs. But if you want to make a full SSR team out of stabs, then you're at a very bad disadvantage if you don't already have Michiru, who is a limited Kamihime. But other than that, all I can say is that they definitely do have some very good stuff. This is worth going after. If you happen to get it, then kudos to you, but if you don't, then unfortunately you're not going to be able to get her for free. But they do make these seasonal characters return, so there's that too. But anyways, that's all for this. More is going to come soon. And also, I do have the Labyrinth video recorded. I'm just debating on whether or not I'll put it up. So there will be a vote for that on the community page. So depending on what happens with that one, I'll possibly upload it. But I'll only be paying attention to it for the next 3 days. So you have 3 days to vote on that one. But anyways, that's all for this. More just going to come soon, because I'm definitely going to record this event, seeing as that they did a completely different way. It feels like a weaker version of the catastrophe fights, the Ragnarok catastrophe, so that makes it interesting. But that's all for now, guys. More just will come soon, and take care.